It all kicks off with a sudden flash of light that rips through the darkness. And legends. The story is over, done, finished, no turning back. Black Tiger just rolled into town. An A-rank monster subjugation mission. Alan slams his fist down and declares, "This is it, our final test." To slam on the brakes and let them handle the support. The frontline fighters surge forward, charging straight into the chaos. He fired off his very first command to the tank, RIN. Without hesitation. Shield up, sword drawn, ready to strike. It slams down with a crushing impact that feels like the world just got punched. She dares herself because that eye is daring her to come closer. Plunging into the moment, he felt every ounce of its impact hit like a thunderclap. Standing alone, staring down the beast's massive jaws. Her armor screamed and groaned as the strain crushed down on it. She's getting hammered by heavy damage, and she shouts for the healer, like right now. Understands immediately. He started chanting a powerful spell of restoration, like he was trying to bring someone back from the brink. A fierce wave crashes over the battlefield, driving straight toward Rin. She wraps it around herself like a shield, bursting back in a full sprint. She's back on the battlefield, ready to strike again. Her own explosive counterattack, already plotting the next move like it's about to change everything. To make sure they had the perfect cover. And cracks open a spell, ready to unleash it. Power surged into her hand. A blinding flash of raw power detonates in an instant. Bullets pelt the beast's hide like a storm of steel. A shadowy rocket, blasting out of nowhere like it's already too late, exposes its one fatal flaw. And he gets the new plan on the spot, like it clicks instantly. Phase begins. He lunged out to stake his claim on the brawler. Teeth clenched, heart racing, fully charged and ready to tear into action. Patience is for everyone else, because I don't wait. Tries to shout after him. Lost in the fire of the fight. A gut-punching hundred-fist barrage that slammed down like doom. Driven by relentless momentum and a raw, unstoppable urge to tear everything apart. Left staring in stunned silence. Meanwhile, that boy is basically having a mini heart attack. The opening mark sprang into existence. Straight fires off that crushing strike, boom, light explodes like a flashbang. The monster gets obliterated, utterly defeated, and the danger finally dies. Then it just exhales in relief, totally stunned by what it's seeing. Their sweat-soaked, hard-fought victory. Quick as lightning, he shot back and shut it down. To their drained strategist. Shot a serious, knowing glance that said everything without a word. All right, brace yourself, because it's finally time to spill the truth. The sun blasts over a fortified city, lighting up its walls like a warning for everyone inside. Fortress city of Galarage, walls so massive they swallow the horizon. The Adventurers Guild is where legends get born. Inside, the moment they step in, a wild crowd erupts, cheering like they just came back from the brink. The party bursts in with a jaw-dropping grand entrance. Their flawless victory, earned in full blaze of glory. Absolute Fist slams into the moment, soaked in pure glory. The Archmage himself, Alan Rice. All hail Rin Faulkner. Julia mirrors healing power, right now. But straight up, some veterans from the guild aren't buying it at all. They think they got lucky as kids, but somehow it feels like they're leaving someone behind. Them, the strategist, because this mastermind is about to flip the whole game. Speaking of him, Soul gets hit with a warm welcome from his party. The priceless loot he clawed from the basilisk. So he's right back, saying the support stuff is exactly what he needs. The sharp, bitter whispers crawling out of the other adventurers. Nobody who just barks orders from the back. Rage flared in his eyes as he fought tooth and nail to defend him. His strategies are the only reason they can even stand their ground and fight. And he was pushing himself to feel better. Mark snaps that he's still not satisfied. To finally earn his spot in the royal army. He was tossing out ideas, crossing his fingers for a warm welcome from a top-tier clan. A pulse-pounding moment of ambitious friendship, like they'd just sworn to chase the same dream together. He stayed quiet through the whole storm. Boys only talk about one thing, climbing higher and getting ahead. Our dream is way simpler than all that noise. To dodge marriage proposals, they threw themselves headfirst into the never-ending, thrill-chasing, adventuring life. Sewell's silence hangs there like a blade in the air, snapping everyone's attention like a lightning strike. Right as he's about to open his mouth and finally speak, he leans in and tells them he's got his own dream to chase, no one's stopping him. He shoots back, claiming that since they're rankers, their freedom gets strangled by the rules. Shocked when Soul snapped out of nowhere, still chasing a promise they all swore to 5 years ago. Speechless as his friend's words hit him like a punch. They swore it, every single one of them. Not a single one of them would get to chase their dream together. A table slammed down and cut him off right mid-sentence. Slams in the final hit, then tells Saul to hang it up and retire, swatting away his talk of dreams like it was nothing but childish nonsense. Staring in total disbelief, like my brain just couldn't catch up. He's totally thrown off by that sudden twist. Truth painting Soul backed out like a coward in their final battle. Protests erupted after word got out, yet no one heard a thing about this decision. Silences her mid-sentence and snaps that Soul is a liability they can't keep carrying anymore. She couldn't defend the very friend she once fought tooth and nail for. Spent a whole week trying to make them finally hear his side of the story. To unleash the divine punishment army. A fool's dream, pure fantasy so impossible it's almost laughable. And that's when his happy ending finally comes home. The air hung thick with betrayal. I'd rather die than accept it. Yeah, that's my friendly career advice. The shock finally hit him, full force. He snaps away from the choice he just made. Sewell finally leans in and whispers, "Yes, I accept." He storms in and declares he's out. He's leaving the party right then. Frozen in shock by the sudden crack. She lunges for him, but Mark clamps down and keeps her back. And just like that, the Black Tiger's story slams shut. The city streets were alive, buzzing with nonstop motion. Looks like he already erased him from his mind. At least that's what it looks like. The clumsy passerby fumbles the big vase, and it slips right out of their grasp, splintering on the ground beneath him, who now sprawls on the pavement, clutching a bouquet of flowers. A young woman snaps her gaze up from the dirt, eyes dazed and stunned, prying, demanding to know exactly what was going on. Soul crumpled on the ground, trying to wrap his head around that insane happy ending. Pushing himself up from the pavement, Black Tigers didn't just fade away, they fully disbanded for real. Her rage burning from the betrayal. Without a soul driving her, she would have quit ages ago. She immediately got flustered. Is her friend squirm, adorable as heck. Light collides with a staff right to the head, and the mood goes instantly tense. Julia comforts Rin, shut the conversation down, calling out how wildly insensitive men can be. Helen and Mark were always exactly like that, no exceptions. Completely thrown off by her words, Clams throws the door wide open, eyes locked forward, and fires off a serious question. Corner him and force the words out, he's about to spill his secret. Weapons lay on the table as he lined in and demanded, "Did you really give them their skills?" The question landed perfectly, right where it had to. 5 years back, right after they all got their powers. Incredible abilities. His strategies were way too perfect, and his timing was so precise it felt unreal. Controlling them all, guess this really is a support role on paper. Spill the truth. He admits with zero doubt that he remembers absolutely everything. Despair crushed the one who got left in the dark, power gone, hope gone with it. That day's memory crashing back in. A lonely windmill stood out there, miles away, screaming silence into the wind. Back when they were all just little kids, before the chaos ever hit. Grinning through it all, he pushed to stay right on their heels. Perched on the same branch, sharing one wild dream. Back when they had no skills to prove, no ranks to chase, just two friends, running wild before the world forced them to level up. Claire's their shared fire, both of them chasing the same dream, becoming the strongest party. Those fighting combat skills were so rare, you'd spot them once in 1,000 lifetimes. Young Rin never imagined it would happen, at all. Their childhood crumbled into pure disappointment. Step in a brand new hero to crash down judgment on the evil god and its monsters, classic evil church stuff, straight up. To the strange, powerful skill he'd somehow mastered himself. Power let him tweak his stats, and even hand him brand new abilities. Believe what she's hearing, because it sounds impossible, and yet it's real. Handed them the exact powers they needed to go sprinting after their dream. Handed her the gift of defense, and turned her into their unbreakable tank. No one could move her. The power of restoration, thanks to their loyal healer, who never lets anyone stay down. He handed them the power to crush their attackers. The party was finally complete, an absolutely flawless plan, and you could feel it. The Black Tiger party burst into the world. Rin suddenly felt something was off, like the whole air had shifted. An ultra-rare support skill, like it dropped from the sky, and the crazy part, the player was the reason it all existed. He finally accepts his story, because for years he's felt his powers bloom with every beat of his soul. With him gone, they weren't anything special anymore, just plain, ordinary villagers. They hailed him as their own personal miracle, their child meant just for them. The boys are completely oblivious, sure they earned their power on their own, while men. He tore himself apart, convinced he'd caused the deception. Finally found the courage to look them in the eye and tell them the truth. Realizing they picked the more believable route instead. Clenches his fist and refuses to let their original dream die. Forge the ultimate party and crush every single dungeon you stumble into. Julia to team up with him because he needed allies he could trust with his life. And they silently agreed without a single word. She yanks away and announces she's retiring. Wait, what? She finally understands why Alan and Mark threw in the towel on that dream. She's crumbled inside, like her confidence vanished, and now she can't keep fighting. Stripped of her power, she's nothing but a helpless villager, at the mercy of everyone else. She still remembers how it felt to face those monsters all by herself, and how pure terror swallowed her whole. And just like that, he vanished for good. But Saul always stayed right behind them, steering the whole crew from the back like a secret guardian. She was terrified that if things went wrong, he'd get hurt. Silence shattered the moment her confession hit. And it drove home, right in his face, that his talent was the reason they were all A-rankers. They could pick the perfect allies for any job, no matter what race they were. Still tangled in the decision, she fought to choose what came next. So yeah, the Black Tiger's era is finally over. This is the moment his real story ignites. Standing there with their unshakable support behind them. An epic adventure kicks off as the player steps in. Julia couldn't believe it. Someone had already buried themselves in research. Already cooking up a brand new plan, ready to light the next fuse. They finally catch some sleep, but our boy, he's wide awake and locked in, like he's running on pure momentum. Rin stares ahead, and a wordless promise burns bright in her eyes. Off got so buried in his work that the rest of the world vanished. Next morning, Rin bursts out of the house and calls Julia's name. She refuses to quit her dream, and somehow she ends up becoming Saul's wife, and yeah, it escalated way too fast. Meanwhile, he keeps replaying the pain of how he got torn away from his old friends. Fresh surprises are about to smash into his life. He swears he's got every intention of keeping that promise. The finale's almost here, and it's about to steal a few extra pages for maximum drama. He sprinted straight to the guild hall right after he stormed out of the party. A man in a sharp, tailored suit that screamed confidence stood there claiming he was Steve Nyman, the guild master. Cole cuts the celebration short and slips out early. He scrambles to explain why his job vanished out of nowhere. Echoes crash through the guild's kitchen. With a strained smile, he admitted he was done with the Black Tigers. The guildmaster yanks him in his grip, pure disbelief blazing across his face. Rumbles down the guild staff like wildfire. You get it all too well. The shockwaves of an A-rank party cracking and falling apart proof that it's rarer than gold. Soul had that gut feeling like he'd already seen this twist coming. So what happens to the rest of the crew? But the other four weren't special at all at first. They were just ordinary villagers. That sharp gaze screams he's holding back secrets he absolutely doesn't say out loud. Rare skills, time to appraise that ability and see exactly what it's worth. With that knowledge, he can clock exactly what a skill is really made of. So tell me, player, what Soul's power really doing? Realizing his secret had been leaking all along. From the very first second, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Kids are worth nothing unless you've got the one who knows the player skill. So that's why he decided to cooperate. His secret used for the greater good. Honestly, it's blackmail at its finest. Caught off guard, I was left reeling at the kid's unbelievable nerve. His star party just crashed and burned, way too fast, way too easily. Once trust shatters, you can't put it back together again. So I'm basically asking what Saul's about to do next. He asks, are you ready to chase that dream again? And then pushes, and did you get any new allies? Remains unreadable. Loss hit hard, so hard it left the guildmaster reeling in disbelief. And that's the cruel irony. Once you know what Soul is really worth, everything hits different. Telling everyone he'll be slammed with recruitment duties tomorrow. A bold offer to help him track down brand new party members. Says it's pointless because this whole thing is only meant to help the guild. He finally admitted he'd been waiting on pins and needles for the perfect moment to jump in. A chilling warning that told him to watch his step on the way home. The guildmaster's daughter snaps out from behind the door, peeking like she's about to stir up trouble. A fresh plan snaps into place, and the whole operation kicks off again. Sewell hungrily scans the list of potential recruits. Getting a crew of the strongest adventurers together might be all it takes. Sure, he could clear dungeons, but his real target is something way bigger. He remembers how even the black tigers got torn up by just one A-rank beast. In dungeons, a normal party just won't cut it. You can stare down the monsters of myth and legend and not blink. He digs into a secret move only his power can pull off, then unleashes a one-time-only summon, no way to repeat it. They knew the power was there, but they turned away from it, like it was too wild, too heavy for their humble little dream. A brutal truth hits him: he's got limits and he can't outrun them. Self is basically helpless from the start. Set up allies to step in and fight for him. He needs that power more than ever, so yeah, it's time to pull the gotcha. He snaps the skill to life. A blinding burst of light explodes straight out of the interface. Left him totally blindsided. A blazing, intricate magic circle suddenly snaps into existence in the air right in front of him. They call it a legendary teleportation spell, something people swore was impossible until it proved them wrong. Teachers threw their hands up, laughing it off like it was nothing more than a fairy tale. Into a wild, swirling vortex of stars, like the universe just snapped open. He wakes up drifting through a weird, cosmic void like the universe just swallowed him whole. The light above unleashes, falling cards like a storm. They slammed straight into his mind. The day the world locked away a monster, so evil even nightmares had to kneel. The fairy queen who's trapped, locked away and fighting to get free. Third, the dying divine beast. The demon lord of the void, an unstoppable nightmare lurking in the dark. The cursed hero, his legend is soaked in doom, and every step could be the end. Stunned by the choices laid out in front of him, unable to even speak. So tempting, but it bites back because it's terrifyingly dangerous. Hesitate for a second, and there's no right answer. The Dragon Man, that's the ultimate stamp of absolute power. Phillips makes the call, and the moment he decides, everything clicks into place. Mighty Dragon crashes through his thoughts, roaring louder and louder. Encircled by a screaming vortex of magical chains. A colossal beast gets yanked and pinned, trapped in arcane shackles. This isn't some run-of-the-mill monster. This is the real deal, a legendary dragon straight out of legend. It pins him to the spot, and he can't move a muscle. Echoes slam straight into his skull. He whips his head around, totally thrown off by that shocking greeting. After a full 1,000-year wait, it finally chose him as its master. And it turns out this new companion is nothing like the vibe he'd been expecting. It blurts out a surprisingly adorable promise, pledging its life to him. They teamed up for a brawl, never for this nightmare. Sensing something was seriously wrong. His voice shakes not with strength, but with pure desperation. Pleads with him to finally grant it the release of death. One lone tear surged to the surface, trembling in his eye. It breaks down in sheer torment, screaming that it can't wrap its head around one truth: some human is the only hope it has. It hit its absolute breaking point. That fight got sealed shut, trapped in silence, powerless to move or even feel a thing. It couldn't die, it couldn't go mad, and it wouldn't even let itself sleep. Finally breaks down, admitting it can't take the pain anymore. His heart tore open, aching for the creature's endless, merciless suffering. Fight off that fate. As he stares, the chains locked around them both start to crumble and dissolve. To cut the suffering one last time with him. 1,000 years of false hope crushed their dreams. He steeled himself with a whole new offer ready to go. Swore an oath of servitude to him. A glowing light ignites the moment the pact is forged. To tail him, even if that contract drags everything to the grave. Roan G. Vempnacht Furia, the full legendary name that sounds like destiny. Luna grabbed his hands and begged him to bind their souls together. And yeah, Soul is totally ready for it. He decided to take her in as his loyal servant. Erupts the moment the contract is sealed. Final day of the thanks, pure, grateful thank you from the heart. Sewell yanked him back with a fierce grip. Warmth surged through him like a spark catching fire. Countless trump cards still loaded in his hand, ready to unleash. He bolted back to his room, and the chandelier gently swung like it was breathing with him. He looked absolutely wiped out, wondering if all of this was just some insanely real dream that I'd wake up from any second. A weird, heavy weight pressed down on his lap. Her face just lay there, right in front of everyone. A little flustered, like his nerves were rattling. In this draconic tale, a dragon is curled up on him, sleeping soundly. She jolts awake, like something deep inside her has finally snapped back into motion. He blurts out, asking if her new master is awake. A sudden flashback rips the curtain off her, because the her everyone feared isn't a person at all, it's the legendary evil dragon. It used to be the ultimate final boss, the one enemy that even a god-chosen hero couldn't take lightly. It doesn't feel like a contract, it feels like someone just pulled a cosmic scam on you. That this body is barely holding on to even 1% of her real power. Is desperately trying to make peace with the girl on the couch, while the apocalyptic beast from the history books looms in the background. With enough training, she can slam her way back into real strength. And the best part, she's not just cute, she's totally obedient too. He can't stop wondering, was this all part of someone's master plan, or did fate just get lucky? Raging because his legendary dragon has been reduced to nothing more than a tiny little girl. For her now surprisingly unimposing form, to react in a completely different way. It turns out it wouldn't be a problem, he just tells her to get off his lap. She snuggled in even tighter, soaking up the warmth she'd been craving for ages. Saul freezes, utterly stunned by her simple, heartfelt confession. He couldn't shake the feeling he'd been shoved straight into his fate. Then boom, he realized he'd somehow ended up with a dragon girl as a living lap pillow. All right, now's the perfect moment to grill them with a few questions. He grinned and playfully pinched her horn. Little flick. Electricity ripped through the ancient dragon like a bolt of lightning from the heavens. Snatches a horrifying mask out of nowhere just to finish the hazing ritual, shocking him so hard that his whole body started to tremble. Absolutely flustered, completely overwhelmed. He's all right, this calm, gentle smile spreads across his face. Soul's mind jerks back to their situation, and he can't stop himself from getting flustered. Steve's influence will keep most adventurers out, even if his expulsion sets the rumor flames spreading. The only thing standing in the way was the slum rats, right there, ready to strike. Stunned, staring at the chaos, trying to figure out why anyone would come after him now. Every opening was on the table, assassins slipping in, or bitter guild members coming for revenge. Panic rips through him as he realizes there's no way he can fend them off by himself. Venturers are on a whole different level, and now he's got to take on at least 8 of them. If he can't fight at all, he called out for Rin because without the room's magic barrier, she'd be dead. Someone leans in and asks, what if we strip our opponents down to just normal people, what happens then? But Luna sees it as her golden shot to prove her loyalty. Card locks in, shocked that his player skill now lets him read and study his brand new servant. Of crushing stats piled high and countless skills at his fingertips. Her eyes spark, but she's stuck at level 1. Her only terror is being dragged back into that endless prison, so if anyone dares threaten her master, she has to wipe them out. She seized the moment, declaring this was her shot to prove she deserved to be here. Still not convinced, he pressed for reassurance. Are you sure? A confident, wicked little grin curled across his face. With a sharp snap of her fingers, she takes on the task, no hesitation. The door slams open, and armed men flood into the room like a storm. Let out a pathetic scream, is totally blindsided by the sudden appearance. He happened to stop and wonder, was that really teleportation? Even from miles away, she can reach anywhere, because that's what her true form lets her do. He just laughed, totally unimpressed by their tiny levitation trick. Meanwhile, the soul starts sweating like it knows something terrifying is coming. All right, let's go, time to dive into work. Seul he's the baggage dumped from the Black Tiger party. He'll save them right now, because they're here to die. That floating trick is probably the worst bluff you could pull. One of the thugs straight up says he'd bolt the second he saw someone levitating. Honestly, that's the smartest choice he's ever made. Make sure they fully understand the mission ahead of them. Trapped with no chance to argue or even breathe a word of complaint. This is the perfect moment to find out what Luna can really do. Can only stare, utterly confused. A dark aura hangs in the air as it fires off one simple question. Are you a monster? Hurls the intruders straight into the air like they weigh nothing. One of them shrieks in brutal, soul-crushing agony. It slams down with a brutal, bone-jarring impact. And then dead silence. The first time he got targeted, Steve's crew usually took care of the problem. Staring at the wreckage left in the wake of her power, He casually flips a word of power into a full-on attack. Sure, it's got its flaws, but for right now, it's more than enough. Realizing she isn't just human at all, she's the real deal magical creature. Magical creatures don't just use magic, they siphon their power straight from the world around them. The raw power of a level 1 all-dragon, unstoppable from the jump. No mercy, ever. Of suffering, a swift end is the only kindness she's ever learned to give. A master who's clearly feeling a bit overwhelmed should take care of the 3 intruders still left standing. Saul clocked it immediately. These were the people who didn't have an ounce of killing intent. Prime test subjects, perfectly ready for the experiment. He flips the card and clocks just how insanely young they are. They don't have a single special ability, nothing at all. Kids who bolted from home chasing huge dreams. If he couldn't tap into his own power, their fate could have crushed him instead. He springs onto a nearby fountain, raising his voice to address his brand new captives. Wait, who was the one that told them the Black Tigers had disbanded? His voice turns cold as he snaps at them, warning, don't you dare lie. Enough to make them shake in their boots. Yeah, this is Intimidation 101, folks. Yeah, sure, but they don't have to know any of it. Inspiration will slam the truth into their mouths and make them talk. Her courage stood her ground, forcing them to admit, we don't know. The boss never let a single detail slip about the job. Her words left a thoughtful look etched on his face. He nods at her courage, then barrels straight into his next question. Under a slum gang boss named Gaffus, as he lined in and demanded her name. She yanks her hood off and with a bold smile introduces herself, Eliza. So they matched it, right down to naming them too. Her expression stayed locked, like she wouldn't give you a single clue. He declared the 3 of them were his subordinates now. Give them the power to fight back. He unveils his big, ruthless plan, turning them into a party that'll storm the slums and take them over. He shoved back, warning him not to mock their desperate situation. In the slums, all you're really chasing is one thing, survival, no breaks, no mercy. From her past, an endless grind, where every day turned into a fight to survive. His joking grin drops instantly as he leans in and offers her a secret pact. Suddenly, a wave of danger closes in on her, and it hits her like a punch out of nowhere. The stats got reset, and boom, a brand new power was handed to him. A jolt of pure energy surged through them, like lightning waking up inside their bones. Saul whirls on Luna and begs her to heal Eliza's injuries. He can't heal directly, but he can still hand Luna the power to do it. Honestly, it's a perfect workaround. Restorative magic bursts to life in Luna's hand. Heck, I was blown away by her master's insane power. With mana running dry, Luna's power still goes unlimited. Eliza suddenly feels a hot wave wash over her face, and she gasps in shock, tears already spilling. Mending those old scars and reopening wounds until they finally started to heal. Gasp in disbelief as that transformation hits like lightning. Her eyes widened as she stared, her scars were gone just like that. First orders come down, dispose of the bodies. By the next day at noon, the Adventurers Guild was already buzzing. They raised their bows and swore their loyalty to their brand new master. Right then, Soul snaps and tells Luna they've got to go. Tears of pure gratitude burst into her eyes, disappeared in a blinding flash of teleportation magic. In their room, the air crackles with leftover power, like the battle just ended. The power he unleashed just then flooded her with healing magic. With full access to every one of his skills, and her own stats already so insane they're off the charts, she's basically unstoppable. Rin's eyes went wide when he pulled off teleportation magic. He soaks up the praise for his power, but then quickly shrugs it off with humble style. With her power unleashed, not a single enemy in the human world can survive the fight against them. The real horror isn't waiting at the entrance, it's buried deep inside the dungeons, ready to swallow anyone who dares to go. To chase his dream, he needs her to level up, because she has to get even stronger. Sweat over stuff like that. With his own betrayal still burning in him, he finally understands just how desperate she's become. Pride's been ripped clean away, there's nothing left to lose. As long as their goals stay perfectly aligned, they can roll forward together. The hunt for gods and monsters never, ever lets up. She snaps back into the plan. If they want her to get stronger, they've gotta hunt monsters. She tells him the only way to get her full power back is by recovering her missing eye and horns. A hero snapped them shut and sealed them away inside the 4 great labyrinths. Tracking them down is the one goal that matters, nothing else comes close. Head straight for the dungeon right nearby. Keep it simple, one brave step at a time. A confident, knowing look that said he'd already figured out how this would end. She'll follow her master anywhere he dares to go. Saul just woke up, and bam, a brand new problem crashes the scene. Even in its tiny body, that dragon is still a dragon. Danger doesn't shrink. Sleepy Luna drifted up to ask, "Did I sleep well?" Admits the air was downright warm. The custom of sleeping together feels honestly kind of amazing. Rattles the entire building to its bones. He launches into an explanation, but the huge misunderstanding keeps roaring back to life. His servant will obey his every word, and he'll do anything he demands. Rushed over to the Adventurers Guild in Galleridge. He snaps into a greeting, stunned to find him there that early. She's the world's most famous receptionist, and the rumors are already crawling into her ears. Go see the guild master, Steve. His shy new companion finally slipped out from behind his cloak. Fiona became his brand new party member, and Fiona couldn't believe it herself. The one and only guy she couldn't charm at all. That he has a thing for the younger type. Luna's officially been registered as a demi-human. A place that screams orphanage too perfectly. In the office, Luna leans in and lays out her whole status. She's not a visitor, she's a servant. But there's a catch. Keeping companions like that is flat out forbidden. She's nothing like he expects, because his brand new, dependable partner is the real deal. I can't believe that frilly little doll just became his new ally. I wouldn't pick someone just because they look good. His appraisal skill wipes right over her job class and leaves it blank. Steve's ruthless power lets him peer into her like he can see right through her. He can't stop thinking, are there creatures whose power lives beyond God's system? Might even start mocking the divine himself. Figuring that out is totally impossible. Unmasks her real face. She's the legendary all-dragon, straight out of the history books. The guildmaster's mouth snaps shut, no words, not a single sound. The crazy thing is, those hero myths you hear about, they're real. Grins and you can tell he's dead serious, like there's no room for jokes. Concludes that Saul finally snapped under the crushing stress. Honestly, it feels completely believable. Looney's hurls the guildmaster straight up, blasting him into the ceiling. And it utterly blows up his proud reputation. Breaks down exactly how her teleportation magic works. Steve tries to play it cool and he asks, real quietly, to be let down. After that live demo, there's zero chance you'll ever doubt it again. And at least he didn't scream. Steve finally realizes the truth. This girl is totally under Saul's control. His eye gleams, like he's finally watching his whole plan click into place. Not just some random spell, this is a battle plan, a full-on grand magic in a league of its own. The legend of a city wiped off the map by the very dragon that did it. Her master should have played it way more quietly and carefully. Better not to know, he's no world-saving hero, so the truth won't do anyone any good. Soul couldn't help it, he broke into praise, his sharp intuition practically screaming the truth. Getting doubted feels like a punch to the heart. Swearing absolute loyalty, he begged for his guidance in every single thing. That trust still hasn't fully taken root yet. They only knew each other for one wild night. Luna was utterly dumbfounded. When he said her real name, her control snapped into his hands. He became her absolute master. I've got absolutely no clue what she's talking about. She tossed her name and pride aside, and for what, nothing. That true name thing is a huge, life-changing deal. That just slams the ancient dragon's entire world into a dead stop. Then everything drops into a weird, crushing silence between the stars. Stares in disbelief, trying to wrap his head around just how insanely packed this kid is with raw talent and chaos. She threw around her name like it was nothing, without realizing it carried terrifying power. The kind of purity dragons brag about. Yep, the usual job interview nonsense, but with scales. He seized total control, binding her soul to him forever. He finally admitted he'd been treating it like a cute nickname until reality hit. Left him utterly stunned by that casual confession. A full-body tremor shook him as his words fell apart into a helpless, incoherent mess. Dragon got knocked out, not by an enemy's attack, but by pure, second-hand embarrassment. He drops to his knees and bows right away, offering up a heartfelt apology. They say true names are the ultimate lost knowledge, gone from the world, locked away forever. As a man, he's got to step up and take responsibility, no excuses. Still wrapping my head around it, and I can't stop wondering if that kind of knowledge is actually forbidden. This seals Sewell as an apostate, and tags Steve as an accomplice. The guildmaster is about to get dragged straight into the mess he caused. He couldn't stop smiling after the live magic show blew him away. Luna's adventurer registration gets officially stamped and approved. Pure joy floods his soul as he thanks him for abusing his authority for them. Their party name might be cool, but Suel's already got bigger plans, forming a whole clan. They're about to become the Liberators, to break free the lands from those monster rulers, one conquest at a time. Only let out a wowed sigh, blown away by the kid's massive ambition. He calls the basilisk incident out of the blue, then admits he has to see it with his own eyes. Luna warned them that their future enemies would be even stronger. Basilisk is basically just small fry. The guildmaster, yeah, apparently so. My head's pounding from all this nonstop dragon talk. The legends that ruled a forgotten era. An idea so wild it sounded like a ridiculous fairy tale. That if Luna can steal the power locked inside the other sealed beings, realizes with horror that the nightmare keeps multiplying, there are more of them. With a confident grin, everyone's sprinting through a monster girl orphanage, like the stress is so thick you can practically feel it in your throat. He swallowed his doubts and marched straight into this hero's tale, vowing to see every last chapter all the way to Fate's final page, begging her to become the ruler of every monster in existence, feeling like I didn't deserve a title that big. A sharp knock rips through the office like a thunderclap. When the guildmaster's about to speak, get this, 3 visitors just arrived. 2 more groups were waiting for him too, like they'd been summoned for the showdown. Ren and Julia just rolled in, right on time. Dots snap into focus, realizing the other 3 are the kids from last night. That's when things start spiraling, because it's about to get wildly complicated. Totally misreads the whole situation. Rin and Julia stand there, holding their breath, waiting for someone to finally spill the truth. Confronts Sol, grabs the situation by the throat, and demands to know what's really going on. Feeling a little spooked by that sudden, electric tension in the air. Stunned, he blurted out, "Whoa, who is this new girl?" He's so worried, then his heart drops, because he discovers he's already grabbed a new companion. Cringing at the awkward mess she just unleashed, Steve steps in and decides he'll take care of the slum kid's registration himself. Jumping into a rank drama is basically begging to get yourself killed. To jump right back into work. A stone-cold, unreadable stare that screamed, "Don't even try to read me." Suel broke it down for everyone, but it's still hard to believe she truly understands. Sol's shoulders finally drop. He's just relieved she took the news so smoothly. If Luna stays with him, she'll need a caretaker, and Rin's getting stared at like she's the obvious choice. She flat out announces that she's moving in with them. Leaves the whole room frozen in shocked silence. She's been shut out, she can't tag along on his next adventure anymore. Handled all the housework for him, then slipped in a quiet little proposal. Totally left in a daze, like I had no idea what was happening. He's really about to slide in right there and make his move. Rin's got a brand new rival, and this one's no ordinary foe, it's a legendary evil dragon. Suddenly, terrifying clarity slams into her like a lightning bolt. He's snatching this opportunity to worm his way closer to Sol. Rin drops a brutally serious offer, and the real question hits, how is he going to react? It totally misses the point, and somehow they still think it's a genius idea. Leaves both girls completely speechless, completely oblivious, while 2 beautiful girls battled hard to steal his attention. Lucky this kid's pure, clueless denseness is secretly a major advantage in the game. Clenched his thoughts, desperately trying to understand what that reaction even meant. He leans in and reassures Luna, practically bursting with joy, telling her he's genuinely happy about what she's feeling. Fight an entire army of dragons, yet she still stays right by his side. Luna grinned as they welcomed her onto the team. Girls offered their hands in a bold gesture of friendship. As warmth suddenly crashed over him, Sol kind of looks totally clueless, and that's how the new party quietly forms unofficially. All that's left is to fight, and this is the only arrangement we've got. She's not done yet, she still wants to be her master's ultimate #1 servant. With her whole body, just like she did last night. She's just talking, and I'm sitting here totally clueless like, what on earth are you even talking about? Rin and Luna were left utterly speechless. Meanwhile, Sol is sweating bullets, scrambling to make sense of the whole disaster. He scrambles to explain the huge misunderstanding before it spirals out of control. A darker shadow is stirring, like something evil is waking up. Looks like they finally snagged a calm, peaceful beginning. The moment it hits, everything starts to surge forward. Momentum builds like a fuse about to blow. Somewhere beyond their world, a brand new threat is sharpening its teeth and getting ready to strike. That grin says it loud. He's about to step in and block the way straight to the soul. This is the pure proof that his ambition won't let him rest. It's like they know Saul's name way too well. A full-blown commotion is brewing right under the surface. He could only stand there, jaw dropped. He'd never seen anything like that before. Slams into the room with a grand entrance that demands everyone's eyes. Intimidating armor. Guild's mightiest clan, Hekatonker. Of a party called the Black Tigers. Meanwhile, deep in the streets of Galarage, the night feels like it's holding its breath. Are getting a full-on, serious glow-up. They demanded to know if they had every single thing they needed to kick off their brand new life. And honestly, their new clothes fit them so perfectly, it felt unreal. If they honestly earned that kind of luxury. He hands them a card and flashes a reassuring grin like, "Don't stress about the cost." Julia can't rely on anyone else. She has to learn it the hard way for herself. For an adventurer, power isn't just important, it's everything. That fancy gear isn't just expensive, it's the proof they've finally earned everyone's trust. Their first mission is simple: storm the slums they used to call home. A bold demand from her, and she wasn't backing down. Agrees to tag along with them on every shopping trip from now on. And to Julia's shock, a fresh voice suddenly cuts in, bragging that Soul hasn't changed one bit. Saul blurts out that he's being a little too generous. Remember the exact moment it all began. With a sudden seriousness that knocked the air out of the room. Maybe she's totally overdoing it. If he'd only done this for her yesterday, just imagine the difference. This mess is almost definitely on her. He blurts out that he wants a huge bowl of soup for dinner, because priorities, people. Julia clocks it instantly. The little dragon girl is an anomaly in every single way. Once you've got real power, money starts feeling totally pointless. He realizes they want him to walk with them again, so he finally understands what they're really asking. And to Julia's total shock, it worked on him. A soft, reassuring smile that instantly made everything feel safe. Leaves Eliza totally flustered. If he's doing this on purpose, now it's time to chase their real objective. No more games, no more waiting. A wild adventurer mission, then we hit up the armorer for everything we needed. The best shops are insanely picky about who gets in. Then comes the master plan and the perfect bargaining chip to seal the deal. Their destination was tucked deep in the city's industrial district. Legendary Bacchus Armory, the kind of place whispered about in myths. You can still hear that sound even when you're all the way out on the street. A man is fast asleep right at his post, totally knocked out. A calm, knowing smile curled across his face. John Smith Gawain Bacchus clocks him on sight, no second guessing. He thought he was finally free, right up until Saul's impossible requests started hitting again. This time it's the same story, nothing's changed. Snatched the basilisk's materials for his stash. The master craftsman froze in total disbelief, swearing he'd forged the greatest equipment anyone could ever imagine. This time the gear is meant for his 3 brand new recruits. They can only freeze and stare, totally out of their depth. He digs in his heels and snaps back, yelling that he won't sell to amateurs. Even kids like them can't equip his top-tier gear. He slides over a document, cool as ice, asking if it could finally change his mind. He glanced down, and confusion hit his face like a sudden wave. The brand new clan seal locked them into an exclusive contract with the armory. Basilisk materials showed up like a bold promise, proof they meant peace. The paper in his hands, demanding answers. What are you even staring at? A ranked list of monster territories he's plotting to conquer. Wide-eyed, he suddenly caught the full weight of what that deal would really cost. He had to haul materials from 5 of them in just 1 month, plus the Forbidden Zone. The guild signed off on the sales rights, and the money is about to be downright fair. Our boy is a full-on strategist, commanding both in battle and behind the scenes. They're whispering to each other. Certain Sewell has finally snapped and lost his mind for good. Wayne can't forget the news about the basilisk, an act so rare it only happens once every century. This exclusive contract is the kind of once-in-a-lifetime shot you only get to take a single time. He'd already wiped out 1 A-rank zone and the crew with him, totally dependable. Even the biggest clans wouldn't dare to throw down in the Forbidden Zone. His soul is driving him to fight, because he's doing all of this to protect his brand new recruits. If he pulls this off, he's going to rise up and become a force nobody can ignore. Realizing his options were running out, he got trapped in this wildly ambitious scheme. A pen poised to make it official, right now. With a smug grin, Gawain finally gives in and agrees to the deal. Smith's heart lights up the moment he starts forging legendary gear, and yeah, he's going all in. They pull up the list, and it's crystal clear their first target is the nine-headed dragon, ordering Gawain to get himself ready for an enormous delivery. The reason he stood there with pure, unstoppable confidence. To the little girl standing right beside him, Anna leans in and tells everyone the nine-headed dragon is an ancient beast, so alien and terrifying, it's beyond anything a human mind can even grasp. A class monster, the worst of the worst, but somehow Saul totally zoned out mid-speech. Luna fumes as her big, epic speech gets completely wrecked, and the whole moment leaves me more confused than ever. A lecture tries to convince everyone that the nine-headed dragon is nothing but one massive, multi-headed snake. Sleeping soul, she lit a spark in the smith's heart, reminding him she's the real all-dragon. He can only stare back, totally dumbfounded, like his brain just short-circuited. His throat tightening as he fought to get his composure back. He shot back, asking if he finally believed him now. He slams on the brakes, snatches his hammer, and keeps moving. The only thing he cares about is those legendary materials they promised. Nothing else matters to him. So he suggested he should at least call her Lady Evil Dragon, for proper professional courtesy. He flips the conversation, then pushes for his fresh recruits to be fitted with their gear. Smith's face hardens and the truth hits. He hasn't signed off on them, not yet. A bunch of kids stare in pure disbelief, like their brains just short-circuited, yelling that a contract is nothing more than a promise you can't trust. If they swing those weapons, they'd better prove their worth more than their blade. Realizing what's about to hit him next, crack those knuckles because it's time for a classic gallery greeting right on schedule. He shoved a bunch of boys into the spotlight and told them to strip down for a friendly brawl. He leaned in, spoke with perfect politeness, and made it crystal clear that she was a woman. Left the master smith utterly speechless, staring in shock like lightning just struck. He drops to a bow on the spot, then offers a proper, no questions apology for how rude he'd been. Always gets hit with a brutal, hands-on lesson in what it truly means to be tough. Association, Gawain nods and promises to hunt down the best gear he's got for them. Remember that wild chat you had with Suil 2 years back? The kid blurted out, "Can I forge legendary gear from stuff that shouldn't even exist?" Back then he doubted everything, but now that same doubt is gone, and excitement hits him like a spark. Could beat a basilisk, but it didn't just fall apart for no reason. City lights flickered as he stood there, lost in thought, trying to figure out what dreams are really made of. Stunned by how powerful he'd become, Paul leans in and tells Julia the brutal truth. He's maxed out their stats. Now all they need is experience. But even with a powerhouse body, his mind is still sprinting to catch up. Now they're fully loaded, standing there like, wow, as they soak in their brilliant new gear. But watching Saul practically explode with excitement about gearing up new members is straight-up fun. Remember when the boys were kids, how hungry for adventure they used to be. Listen, one was completely lost, while the other was locked in deep thought. A flashback rips open and shows the original Black Tiger getting surrounded and mobbed, while Gawain demands his weapons. His teeth clenched, begging for better equipment, anything to change his luck. Back then they were so reckless it felt insane, staring off toward a distant castle. A quiet sadness shimmered in her eyes. Sol bursts in and says, "We're heading to the guild, right now, with the new recruits in tow." Other adventurers gawk as the new party rolls in with gear so impressive it practically screams, "We mean business." Well-equipped adventurers don't stay hidden for long, they're bound to become famous. Sol's communicator suddenly buzzes, screaming an urgent alert. That trouble is charging straight toward you. And he flashes a grin, then rushes to apologize so she won't have to worry. He kicks the tavern door wide open, already knowing Arank adventurers are basically the one wild exception to the everyone goes to bed early rule. Alan shot him a casual wave, and right then, yeah, this was super awkward. Sewell braced up in front of him, blocking the blow as danger surged forward. They stared them down, stunned they even had the nerve to talk to them. Hardens the resolve, fully grasping what they're trying to do. Ever since the Black Tigers fell apart, big-time clans have been throwing offers at them nonstop. Tired of their games, he just dragged his hands through his hair, peeking from behind his back, trying to figure out who these strangers even are. Suel got blasted for pretending to be an adventurer while a whole bunch of kids hung around him. With that condescending tone dripping off every word, he shot a glance downward, cheeks burning, totally rattled and scared. Grabbing her, I yanked her away just before she could kick off a fight. A razor-thin, dangerous glint snapped into view, to fire back the exact same words he just said. He fires off an apology, then drives straight into a sharp question that hits like a punch. He figures his brand new recruits are weak. For an adventurer, their gear is basically a loud, wearable badge of who they are and how far they've climbed. Those slum rats have zero ties to any high-ranking adventurers. Narrow, then it hit him all at once, that sudden realization exploding in his mind. Suspicion crept in with a soft, shaky awe. A shadowy hooded stranger hired a bunch of kids without a single explanation. He blurted out, asking why he looked so pale, wondering why Alan hauled these exact kids to this place. Everything just suddenly clicks, like the whole thing finally makes perfect sense. The little game is finally over. 3 of them just showed up as the first crew of his brand new clan, and Alan is now officially his enemy. The thought of it turning into a party lit something up in my head. Thinks these kids can actually stand up to them. Suddenly, a surge of power hits Alan like a truck, and he stumbles backward, trying to figure out what kind of wild trick this is. They're stunned, turning to see the new recruits have magic matching their own. I catch Alan off guard, asking him if he's drunk, then I snap at Soul to just listen. His face turns into pure shadow as he demands, "Tell me, am I too late for this?" Still reeling, he couldn't shake the shock of that sudden show of force. Rage and hostility burned straight out of his soul. The tavern crowd can't stop staring, what's causing all this wild commotion out there. The armored knight lets out a heavy sigh and grumbles that this conversation is going absolutely nowhere. Saying, "All right, now I'm taking over from here." He introduced himself as Hans Occam of the Hekatenkur clan. Standing on his own, he finally understood just how powerful that name really was. He pressed the man and demanded, "So what's your business?" He's stepping in right from the start, and the whole reason he's here is to recruit the Black Tigers. He caught the rumor in his own ears. Turns out Hekatenkar wasn't attacking yet, just scouting Alan. The details came out all scrambled, and it's brutal that the party fell apart. He wasn't making a deal for a single fighter. He was offering to take the entire Black Tiger party as one unstoppable unit. He whirls on Mark and demands, "Why are you here? Weren't you trying to join the Royal Army?" He explains the Royal Army shut him down. Yeah, that's painfully awkward. The Royal Army clocked his solo stunt instantly and shut him down with a full rejection. Trying to handle everything solo, then deciding to team up with Alan. The army got it dead on. The party's real leader was someone they'd been refusing to see. Hans scoffs like, "You guys can't even run your own team right," dismissing the legendary Black Tigers as nothing but kids. As the scene rages on, his face stays stone cold, unreadable to the core. Alan's silence cracked open because he finally realized this man's authority wasn't a bluff. But then he started having second thoughts. He's not that short-sighted. He steps in and offers to recruit both Alan and Mark. He offered Ren and Julia a place beside him, calling them priceless assets worth fighting for. He clapped his hands. They offered him a spot too. What a total pity hire. He straightened everything out with his superiors and left no loose ends. Shantaraj just stands there in total silence, like he's daring the world to make the next move. It's absolute. Julia couldn't ignore the weird, crackling tension hanging in the air like it was about to snap. Hekatenkar is finally closing in on him right now. They finally clocked it. Rin and Julia don't come separately. They're locked in with him as a full-on package. He admits the attackers are so easy to swap out. And every clan dreams of one thing above all, a healer who can save them all. The girls would follow him anywhere, no questions, no hesitation. Hans and Alan prove it with ruthless, ice-cold logic. He couldn't care less about their clan. The leader gets blindsided, totally, completely, out of nowhere. They've got the freedom to pick, and then they point straight at the lie, calling it out loud. Bellowing about the clan's legendary reputation like it's untouchable. Trembling at the thought that their power might be strong enough to take on royalty. That has nothing to do with his dream. Julia's words died in her throat as shock froze her in place. Can only stare back, frozen in disbelief. Suel's mind latched onto a breathtaking dream, and you could feel it in every word. It drives our boy up the wall. Demands whether he's even worthy to chase that kind of ambition. and he finally realizes he has no real power of his own at all. He insists it's finally time to unleash his two caretakers. Julia's jaw literally dropped. Aura surges through the room, like power bursting at the seams. Guarded by the sudden shift in the air, everything changed in an instant. Rage surged through her as she couldn't believe someone had the nerve to insult her master. The landleader stares in disbelief, shaking her head like, is she really a demon beast or something even worse? Die and he'll be dying with regret for that insolence, because she's dead serious. Seizing her mouth in a quick grip, he reminds her, loud as she can be, this conversation isn't over yet. Hold up, offset the display. Burst into unstoppable laughter. Seul even manages to pull in a beast girl into his party, like the muse is sending in the wildest lineup ever. Revealed that the Black Tiger's support role is a full-on master manipulator. He told them straight up that Soul was blowing up everywhere. And he's got female companionship all around him, like the universe just favored him. I have no clue what they're even talking about. She didn't just mess up, she made everything 10 times worse. He blurts it out and says Saul is an A-rank womanizer. He tells him, get the girls on board, then you can hand it over and let them negotiate. Sweating bullets as the pressure crushed in. Julia tells him, you're free, do whatever you want. Hans whirls around to the girls and begs them to join his clan. No more retiring, not if he has anything to say. Unleash that incredible power, use it to save the world and bring real good to everyone. The legendary heroes of Galarage, of a grateful crowd roaring their support. He flat out told them he has no idea what they're dealing with, telling everyone that their beauty will light a fire under their allies. Yeah, this is starting to feel really weird. The cost of his clan's glory. She shook her head hard, completely frozen with discomfort. Flatly shut him down. He's had enough. He turns to his team and shouts that it's time to get out of there. He shot them a hard warning, making it crystal clear that turning his clan into an enemy was a deadly mistake. Ripped back into the spotlight by that sudden, terrifying threat. Adventurers crush dungeons, but the moment they hit the city, everything turns against them. Speechless, I finally caught the brutal meaning hiding in the darkness. His voice tightens as he fires back, asking if that was meant as a threat. Insisting it's only for their safety, like a smile wrapped around a threat you can't ignore. They switched tactics and tugged at the team's conscience, pushing them to do the right thing. Powered by the hopes and dreams of everyone who refuses to give up. Each one that leaves Julia completely stunned. Turns out a few of those guys are even backed up by butlers and maids, declaring their rewards are proof the public's trust is real. His voice shot up with fake fire. He tore into them, calling them shallow and selfish to their faces. Reeling from his personal attacks, he felt completely crushed, daring her to flee her duty to humanity. Worry gnawed at him, because his clan was about to use her to devastating effect. Look, he's bragging like he's got women completely figured out. He stomps down with a loud, decisive thud. They cut him off right there, telling him in no uncertain terms that he's had quite enough. He glances at Seul and grumbles that her caretaker is way too serious for her own good. Soul steps up and his voice slices through the air, cold, sharp, and crystal clear. They'll get fair compensation, and taking over monster territory has nothing to do with hands. The awards don't come from thin air, they're handed down by the guild, and the guild is basically like, so you're really doubting our authority, checkmate. His ground was rock solid, and his logic didn't have a single crack. Then wham, his voice slices right through the tension. It's the guild master, Steve. He's got zero plans to let them slip away, especially after the basilisk subjugation. A huge reward was waiting for him, plus a long vacation to finally breathe. Figuring out exactly what the guildmaster had up his sleeve. He snapped at that disrespectful attitude like it was unforgivable. Healthcare isn't nearly as amazing as Hans thinks it is. A crumpled piece of paper, S in my hand, ready to drop some facts like a bomb. Just ask him what he's doing. Based on what he dug up, every single person in Hans's clan was a dead end, none were worth recruiting. Ouch. So shocked by the insult that he couldn't even get words out. Don't waste this chance. If you ignore them now, you'll choke on regret. Twists into a mask carved from pure rage, wondering if a fight is about to explode any second. Shock ripped through him as he blurted out Saul's name. He lets everyone know, loud and clear, that he's just a useless support. She told them to stand down, but she snapped and protested the infighting. Realizing the situation was totally beyond her control. scoffs at the idea that a support character could ever stand toe-to-toe and actually fight. These fresh recruits already know how to dispose of bodies. Guess that's one killer way to pad a resume. This is the perfect shot for Saul to finally prove he's got what it takes. To prove he's got what it takes to lead his brand new clan. Rin can only sit there, helpless, as her voice spills out pure concern. Radiant killing intent, no more talking. In a support role, he's got no chance to take on the fight by himself. All right, he's got Luna in his corner, and he's about to steal her power for himself, ordering the beast tamer to do whatever he wants. Bo thanked him for the chance. Surprisingly, it surges forward and lands a devastating punch. Shattered the floor beneath where Suel once stood. Let out a dead, bored little yawn. Stunned out of his mind as he realized he'd been teleported the second it happened. Got yanked and slung through the air by an invisible force. Seems to rattle violently from the impact. He gets struck by a blow he never sees coming. Completely defeated. The soul just stands there, completely untouched, while chaos rages all around it. The ancient teleportation magic exploding into action. Get a grip on what's happening right now. He's blasted high into the sky, and now he's plummeting down fast, feeling a massive surge of magical power crash through the air. All is the one pulling the strings behind the spell. By sheer force that hit like a thunderclap, Steve finally sees the cold genius behind Saul's plan, and it's terrifying. Crashed into the ground with a brutal slam. And then it all shattered all over again, same brutal loop, no mercy. Stares at it like, whoa, this is way too much. Horror erupts as their leader gets shattered. But when he begs for help, they can't do a thing, totally powerless. It's the very same soul she's always known, unchanged, unmistakable, right in front of her. He's back, but it's totally pointless, like nothing he does can ever matter. To force him to surrender. Cole's fresh recruits finally make their move, ripping through those acts at breakneck speed. Basic skill. That's a guaranteed kill, there's no way it misses. Clutching his chest, hands feared for his life. Just inches from his neck, close enough to feel the breath on his skin. And just like that, he got slammed by the hit. He didn't just dodge, he straight up teleported the attack away. Forward momentum. His skill is downright unreal, so he snaps back and pulls his challenge away. Collapsed beaten and left sprawled on the tavern floor. Stunned into disbelief by Soul's crushing victory. Luna cheers her master on, like the whole world is celebrating. And that's Soul's real power, he can actually wield a dragon. The player is pure domination. Closes in and demands a sliver of his time like, just hold up for a second. With a firm promise in his voice, he held back right before he could crush the man's spirit. But he'll probably get to breathe another day and come back swinging. Gape in complete shock, like the whole world just flipped upside down. They nodded, ready to spill everything about their brand new clan. Is totally blown away by Saul's jaw-dropping display. He stared with a thoughtful, almost suspicious gaze. She can't help but wonder if every word he spits is nothing but a rehearsed act. Completely blindsided him. Other adventurers stare at the document in pure shock. Still, he couldn't shake the confusion. He kept staring, begging his brain to decode what it all even meant. The moment he hit the floor, his confidence went up in smoke, shattered for good. Something's seriously wrong, and I can feel it. A bead of sweat slid down her temple. The truth, Alan was the one who pulled the strings and hired those assassins. The leader can only stare at the ground, crushed by shame, offering a spark of comfort when the world feels heavy. Watch the whole scene explode right in front of you. Another adventurer jabs a finger at Sewell and hurls an accusation. You're nothing but a parasite. Lending his strength like a roaring tiger, pure power, straight to the fight. Luna pushes forward, and one burning question spills off her lips. He let loose an insult at her master. So if a fox like that really has this much power, how could it possibly be weak? Is enough to make the man freeze in fear and shut his mouth for good. A box that can command a tiger, that's not just magic, that's pure terrifying power. Tell me what power really is, beyond the hype. Judge just how strong her master really is. Shows up in a bunch of different forms. True strength isn't just being strong, it's the power to take control and dominate everyone else. What houndbite of panic drives a broken, sweating Alan? Stays stone cold and utterly unreadable. A flicker of worry danced in her eyes. He muttered to himself as everything collapsed, and his pride got shattered clean in half. Nights in Galarage City fell like a storm, dark, loud, and alive. his jaw-dropping, lavish estate. Fiona stands by the window, and another woman steps in, asking what's wrong with her. Echoes ripped through the room. Fiona, at least, the girl who looks eerily just like her, flies into a rage. His composure vanished without a trace. Fiona scrambles to calm him down as he barely survives the assassination attempt. There's no way he's calming down now, he's boiling over. Dark power surges through his mind, flashing like lightning. Wondering what kind of monster she really is when the mask finally slips. Every single one of his plans blew up in his face. Her to shut up, swearing he'd stay right by his side, no matter what. Her name hit him like a wave, and it completely crushed him, whispering warm words of affection into their ear. Hangs like a threat right up in the sky. The creak's wide open, like it's daring you to jump in, to cradle the shattered man and bring him back to himself. A totally casual entrance, he just slipped in through the window like it was nothing. Then the moment he landed on the bed, his eyes snapped wide with sheer surprise. He storms in and cuts a wildly private moment between Alan and two women right in its tracks. A silent, horrified scream ripped through the silence, unleashes pure, uncut chaos. Blown away, he stumbled back to her master, staring in pure shock. Cringe so intense it feels like you're living it secondhand. With cocky certainty that the two are right in the heart of a night raid. He covers her eyes and tells her it'll wreck her education. See Suel while one of the women scrambles to hide. Sweat poured down his face as he realized he'd totally misread the two overlapping dots on his map. He pictured himself just strolling in and boom, walking straight into that chaos. As Alan fires off a sharp demand, demanding to know how he ended up in there. He can't stop asking, so what's the big deal? Sewell had him pegged for being careless, and it felt like he was mocking him right to his face. Even the toughest adventurers can't keep it together once teleportation hits. He doesn't have to wonder about Alan's motives anymore. Now that Saul knows he hired the assassins, he realizes it's only a matter of time before death comes for him. Your stomach drops as the truth hits. Saul was brutal this whole time, and you're only just catching on. He can't stop wondering who the real mastermind behind Alan's moves truly is. Asking Luna whether the women are really on her side, her allies. Caught that faint flicker of magic hanging in the air from one of them. Luna peeks through her fingers, hiding her face as if someone just startled her by name. Now it's confirmed she's Fiona, and she lifts her gaze. Talking constantly just isn't the fun kind of hobby. He shoots out a deadpan apology for barging in. They're absolutely stunned by the way they went at each other. Digestive gesture, demanding if he'll really just let this slide. Her reaction hit like proof, confirming every nasty suspicion he'd been chasing. Probably an agent sent from some other country. Blindness was just a cover. He used it to keep eyes on the black tigers. Eyes locked on him, saying absolutely nothing, like they wouldn't deny a single truth. Fame dragged rival nations into the spotlight, all hungry to challenge him. Cold finally crashes down, like the whole world just dropped in silence. Meanwhile, Helen seethes. She's terrified she'll end up tangled with someone else, and she won't let anyone mess with her priorities. Hold up, just stay quiet for a second. Collapsed onto the bed, utterly crushed and beaten. Horror crushed his heart as his other companion slumped there, unconscious. Realizing once fear grabs you, it won't let go. Alan's sudden burst of confidence didn't impress Luna one bit. He couldn't handle her affection and twisted it into a misunderstanding. A priceless weapon for her spy missions. A tiny, foolish little dog, adorable, and somehow it still packs a sting. Ultimately disappointed. Yeah, this was a huge mistake, one he totally didn't see coming. And then it hits full force. The betrayal finally sinks in. Energy crackles in her fist as she smashes into him. He lunged across the room and smashed him with one brutal blow. Rage boiled in his chest as everything fell apart. If somehow this is on her, then it's all her fault. Jonah erupts in a scream, insisting it's all his fault. Because of him, her reputation has been shattered. Yelling at him to get back. The spy snaps and unleashes a storm of fury on the former hero. Saul decides it's go time, then plots to teleport them straight into a dungeon. This is definitely going to explode into the most awkward dinner party conversations imaginable. Dreaming of becoming an A ranker is officially dead. He leans in down like, all right, but tell me, what are you even good for? Impotent fool, ouch, he just got clocked right in the pride. Master, tell me, is this some kind of mating ritual? Realizing maybe it could be. Her eyes blazed with a warning, "Don't look, don't watch, not like this." He scrambles to make it crystal clear, this is not what it looks like. Sounds like it could seriously mess up her education. This social studies class turns crazy intense, fast, like every second is packed with pressure and power. Then let's learn from this together, she agrees, right there with conviction. A brutal, pained scream tore through everything until nothing else could be heard. He drops in like a perfect timing gift and even remarks that his arrival couldn't be more convenient, jotting down everything as this takeover turns vicious, line by line. Snatches him right out of nowhere, and Luna can't believe what she's seeing. He tore himself away from Alan, telling him it was fun while it lasted. An unwanted kiss on the cheek, right where he least expected it. Noticing his mana reserves were downright pathetic. Her name and his spirit was shattered to the core. Luna clenched her teeth. She was seconds away from making her move. Rona finally rips off the mask and reveals her true form, a terrifying, power-laden succubus. He tries to read her, but her stats are a total mystery. There's nothing to measure. The space between them is so huge it feels impossible. You're about to crash straight into an opponent like that. She's been pacing for this moment for ages, and it's finally here. Show her master what she's really capable of, unleash her true power. He can only stare, completely thrown off by how wildly excited the dragon is. Collapsed on the bed, completely incapacitated. Her power lets her vanish and reappear all over the entire city in an instant. He stood there, wrapped in a dark magical aura that hissed with power. A razor-sharp, menacing grin stretches across her face. Telling him, "Don't get cocky with that borrowed dragon power, got it?" Raised a hand and told her, "Wait, give me a second." Wait, does a real woman named Fiona Bannister even exist? Luna just completely vanished from her own control. He cut down the real Fiona and slid into her life like he'd always been there. He just shrugged like, so what if she did? Saying this like, if he wants revenge, he may have to get a little brutal. "Don't worry." She eases her voice, confessing she's been watching him for 2 whole years. He just brushed her tail off completely, totally unimpressed. A succubus slips in, steals their body and their memories too. So this imposter must have slipped in just recently. She kept staring, wondering if she'd actually eaten or if she'd skipped it. A dark, dangerous plan started brewing in his mind. She looked utterly lost, and tears started to brim in her eyes. Clenched her hands, bracing herself, not knowing what the heck was happening to her. A thought that never belonged to her, like it crawled into her mind from somewhere else. Real Fiona, rushing to patch up a younger soul's wounds. That he had to storm through the world's dungeons and take them down. She looked him in the eye and told him, "That's exactly what I love about you." She slapped a tiny, heart-shaped bandage onto his hand. She'd bragged that these were her favorite adventurers. It'll be their little secret, one the succubus just accidentally downloaded. Saul's voice turns icy as he snaps out Luna's name. It's plain and final, kill her. Absolutely happy to help. Or explodes out of her tiny frame. A dragon form erupts into the room, fully materialized and impossible to ignore. Frozen in pure, unfiltered terror. Rage surged when they dared to call him just a little kid with magic. And it turns out she made a deadly mistake she never could have seen coming. It all wraps up in a total blur, so fast it feels like lightning. Shatters the air around them like thunder. Who sealed her echoes, mocking her age. Luna drops her real name, and right there, the battle leaves him defeated. The true might of the all-dragon laid bare. A man snaps to attention at the window, eyes wide and heart pounding. An impossible sight hits him. There's a giant creature looming in the sky above. It's only a split-second burst of magic light. It's a clash on a whole new level. Epic doesn't even cover it. For how wildly she flaunted that magic like she owned the sky. Crushed the enemy with sheer, overwhelming power. Rage surged through him because they dared to underestimate him. Standing tall in her draconic form, she radiated unshakable confidence. Brute force alone won't cut it. Blasts out a terrifying surge of dark energy, with her very own beam blazing. The succubus can only freeze there, staring in raw shock. No matter how much power she storms up and gathers. No power even came close to the brutal might of a real dragon. Swearing she'd never waste her trump card on some lowly succubus. And just like that, everything tears forward at blinding speed. He blasted the succubus backward, sending her crashing through the air. Pain crashed through him, and disbelief followed right on its heels. Set the stage for yet another devastating strike. slammed into the ground with earth-shaking force. Crushed, her body crackled with raw electric power. Stunned that she's still alive. She's still standing, somehow. She has 40% of her health left. Citizens of Gallery stare at the sky, wondering if that loud sound was nothing but a thunderclap or something worse. She snapped to her feet, scorched by roaring flames. Out of everyone, it's them, finally getting crushed. A bead of sweat sprinting down his temple. His MP got absolutely annihilated. Occubus suddenly clocks it. Saul is using teleportation magic. Use it too. He warned that another attack was about to hit. Is a spell that covers the whole battlefield, hitting everything in its way. He finally caught on. This is really, really bad. The whole city of Galleries is on the brink of disaster. A confident smile, like a spark in her eyes, pushed him to remember just how strong she really was. Our boy got a little flustered. Clutching her last shred of hope, she launches her final desperate attack, flooding the spell with every ounce of her power. As Luna surged into her colossal dragon form, she slips into position and intercepts it before it can get away. She tightened everything into one blazing, concentrated beam, pure force from her own power. A blinding flash ripped through the dark like lightning. She's smashing the spell open early, before it's even ready to go off. The blast radius just disappears like it was never there. She stared, then watched her trump card get completely shut down. Realizing Luna had just wiped out the entire attack, gone like it never existed. This is it, he finally gets it, the real power of an all-dragon. With a dazzling, triumphant grin that practically screamed victory. Arms open wide for the kind of hug he's earned. He gazed at her with a soft, warm smile that lit up his face. Absolutely froze in place, stunned speechless by what I just saw. Luna's face snapped serious again. Wait, what just happened to the sky? She snapped up a barrier that trapped the succubus and kept it from escaping. She can't help but stare, totally thrown off by his sudden burst of concern. Lights flicker across the sky. A dragon suddenly swoops over the city, blotting out the sky like a living nightmare. The Holy Church's orbital cannon opened fire, perfect, because now the sky itself was trying to kill us. Lining up the squad, he barked the order, fire. A blinding beam of light crashes down from the heavens. Luna didn't just make it, she forged it. A futuristic cannon blazed in the sky, ready to unleash doom, shaking the entire city to its very core. It's a gut punch of an attack, completely devastating. Lust, just one word, and it hits like a spark. Suel muttered that this move would finally shut everyone up. Her power started to drain away. Allegiance, she's a ruthless agent of the Holy Church, and you'd better not get in her way. They were straight up keeping demons as pets. They've been living under the church's watch the whole time. Leaves Luna sitting there, totally unimpressed. She asks what's wrong, and he waves it off like it's nothing. And honestly, it felt kinda anticlimactic. It brings his player skill to the level his talent deserves. The distance between them is so massive it feels impossible to measure. But her power right now is more than enough to take on this whole world. Basilisk, and honestly, her true strength was so unreal it felt impossible to imagine. The succubus's charm would have been unstoppable. Once it hit, there was no breaking free. To smash every guard the world can throw at him, even the royal armies. Was that really the kind of demonstration she needed to be convinced? Talking about her masters would be pointless. He vows straight to his heart to kill him. He dragged Alan along for his own plan, just a disposable pawn to be used and thrown aside. Unconscious, his part in this story is over. Her confidence vanished, totally wiped out. Wondering how Saul could possibly take down a demon as terrifying as her. Notes that it doesn't matter whether Alan knows the truth or not. Quiet down, she's next on the list. Her hair whips over her face, sweeping across it like a dramatic curtain, begging for permission to devour their enemy. They gulp down a target's power, but the price is EXP, so yeah, it's a fair swap for a full-on power-up feast. It's a dragon trait that no one's ever seen before. Final order, make sure Fiona gets the ending she deserves. Master didn't just get confused, his command left him totally baffled. Desperation flashed across her eyes as she looked at him. Stop just for a moment, drop everything and feel it. The succubus freezes in place, racked by unbearable pain, and can't pose a threat. Your soul can feel it, this isn't just another execution, there's something bigger waiting. Her fate is locked in, no turning back. She promised to lock her own mind away forever. What was even the point of that? pleading with him to give her one single chance. Scared he'd vanish for good. She'll never lay eyes on her king again. Saul's face stays stone cold, cutting, and absolutely merciless. Real Fiona didn't want to die either. The receptionist's warm, kind smile flashes across the room. It wasn't just eating, it was total absorption, like it swallowed everything in one go. Her form violently warped, snapping into Luna's exact appearance. Still, he was rocked to his core by the entire ordeal. Alan is still down on the floor, right where it all went wrong. He pointed at his doubts and said he had a few burning questions. Got played by the succubus like a puppet on strings. He'll strike Saul down of his own choice. Sewell was the one who dared to take him out. Assassination was her mission. He's totally swallowed up by his own lies, like he has no idea where the truth even went. He thrust his gaze into the starry void and demanded to know what he'd done. Saul's move hit like a truck. He really killed Fiona, and disbelief crushed everything in me. That totally blindsided him, right when his guard was down. The woman Alan knew turned out to be nothing but a lie. Even though the memories stayed behind, the person was already gone. Sewell has zero right to decide that. A succubus dove into Fiona and ripped her memories wide open. You just lock eyes, frozen in total shock, like your brain can't even process what you're seeing. Could actually understand what he was trying to say. Alan finally blurts the truth. He confessed he loved her. Leaves Saul in total confusion. The flashback pulls back the curtain. Alan fell for Fiona the moment he laid eyes on her. Hiding in the distance, he never took his eyes off her, just to grab her attention, until he finally broke through and caught her attention. Clueless about how deeply she felt, finally understood what was happening, before he realized just how deep his love truly ran. Revelation slams into Saul so hard it feels like a punch. Alan spits out that he hates him with everything he's got. His final message hit like a brutal little lie, clean, simple, and absolutely damning. That it wasn't really Fiona at all. To listen, his mind was already locked in, no debate. The woman standing right by his side, wrapped up in his friend's delusion. If he can't be with her, then everything else breaks. The brutal truth hiding in plain sight. Fiona was the one dream he'd chased with his whole heart. So his dream is just gone. Life suddenly feels pointless, like it's drained of all meaning. A storm of emotions rips across his face. So do it, just end him right now. If Soul doesn't go through with it, he'll come after him and hunt him down. Got swept up in all of it. The weight of his actions crushing down on him. Eyes sinking as they accept the tragic truth. A final goodbye gets slammed into the air, like the last hit before everything changes. Our new form shoots out crackling dark power, like it's daring the world to flinch. His will got completely crushed, and he just fell apart. So Alan had laid it on him. It somehow makes a painfully terrible kind of sense. Stormed out of the party, kicking up dust behind him. A fleeting look flickered across the soul's face. Your friend was dead serious in his own head, like the thoughts wouldn't stop, and demanded to know where it all went off the rails. Slashes through the memory, and one friendship snaps in half. Alan gets blasted straight off his feet and tumbles into a bottomless chasm. The grim weight of forcing himself to do what had to be done. His granted power snaps back into him, and it's grim, but somehow that feature makes it all worth it. Luna, he swore there wasn't a single cap on the power of his allies. The Church's orbital cannon, an ancient relic pulled straight from history. Their enemies have gone on full alarm, and nobody's letting their guard down. Slipped him crucial intel the day before, just in time. Cheers, I swear today's gonna be another wild, awesome day. With a confident, rock-solid smile, the shady tricks she siphoned straight from the succubus. It tells her those seals won't budge, no updates, no opening, not even for a long, long time. The guards lean in and realize the whole situation is about to turn deadly. Luna nestles her cheek into his lap, and the stars seem to glow just for her. He's set to turn his dream into something real. A promise sits on the soul like an unshakable weight, telling her he's betting everything on it. Next morning, that tiny creature rockets toward the sunrise, all set to start the brand new day. Loyalty, first princess of the Emeria kingdom. He crowned himself the leader of his brand new clan, the Liberators. That princess holds the key role he can't afford to ignore. Guildmaster Steve practically shook with pure excitement. After last night's jaw-dropping performance, their original offer doesn't cut it anymore. His spouse stepped up, then fired off a formal request of her own. and it hit Saul and Steve like a tidal wave, leaving them both totally overwhelmed. Rin can't help but stare, completely blown away by the princess's radiant glow. Realizing it all comes down to last night's battle. Steve was mid-debrief when Saul suddenly came crashing into the room. A sudden flash of light tore through the sky like a hero, dropping from heaven itself. His face feels weirdly familiar, like I've seen it before. Sets Frederica's disguise on herself, and heat floods her cheeks as she blushes. Julia can only stand there, cheeks burning as her instant adoration hits like a wave. They were hunting for allies to seize the succession war before it crushed them. That meeting with Saul feels like fate itself is grabbing the steering wheel. A proposal for him. She's seconds away from dropping an offer of her very own. To throw his full power behind the Emeria kingdom. Steve is totally stunned by the offer, and Soul just flashes a calm smile. Could barely hold in their excitement. He's stunned and he demands to know, does she really mean she's offering him the entire country? That fight was absolutely jaw-dropping, no doubt about it. The titanic clash of titans that lit the night sky on fire. PLT gets crushed, there's just no way it can stand up to that kind of force. Rika swears on her own name, promising the soul she'll give it everything she's got. He just stared, and it felt like time itself froze in place. He totally expected this. His former teammates are left sitting there, totally shell-shocked. The vow, it's rock solid, nothing can break it. The first princess has basically handed him her whole future on a silver platter, an insane recruitment win. Everything spiraled out of control in just one wild day. What he has to pull off to chase his dream. A party so unstoppable it could conquer the whole world. To crush dungeons, they're gonna need a ruthless, powerful organization behind them. Guild rules have hard limits, and once you hit them, you're in real trouble. Princess is slipping into Galleries in secret, right under everyone's nose. A towering menace stepped forward, backing a ruthless claim to the throne. With Soul's teleportation, the royal family would absolutely rush in and help. Realization hit them hard. This could blow their operations up to the whole nation. They shoot a message to the guild, pitching a joint survey to start things off. Send a simple message, then look up at the night sky, because our boy lives for dramatic flair. A brutal enemy to take on, proof that this was the perfect trial for the princess. His eyes burned because his plan was already in full motion. Romantic. A toast in a glass, raised to the future of the liberators. Heave recalls. Power tore across the sky like lightning, crashing into view. Gallery stood there, jaw dropped, unable to look away in sheer awe. And he could feel it, things were about to get messy fast. But he never guessed it would hit the princess so hard she felt it in her bones. The princess's arrival hits the room like a lightning strike, and suddenly everything feels charged. The weight in his chest didn't come from her guards at all. The princess's own ironclad resolve. Sweating like the offer itself was crushing her. She smiles at her, but the truth hits. There's still a whole lot they don't know about each other yet. Trying to figure out what any of this is even supposed to mean. They made the proposal, now they're teaming up to face that nine-headed dragon together. He takes it as a straight-up invitation for a date. Everyone else just stood there, jaw on the floor, totally stunned. He turned that power into a weapon that boosted his allies. That power is the one she's always dreamed of using. The Forbidden Zone, number 9. Monster-sized, pig-like horrors. He's already drained their HP to the limit and maxed out every single stat, and realizes his power can turn anybody into a full-blown warrior. A burst of power slammed through her, and suddenly her body felt light, fierce, and unstoppable. That princess's melee class looks brutal, too tough for a total beginner. She jumped into her brand new fistfighter role like it was a battle she'd been waiting her whole life. Shouting at everyone to follow the instructions flashing on the screen. The attendant plants her feet and raises her sword and shield, shining like they're ready to bite. Belle already set to jump in and back them up with serious firepower. Then it erupts with a mind-blowing blast of pure energy. To dig in and stay back. Roars like a war cry, refusing to back down. She can only scream her name and throw the room into alarm. He tracked Luna down, begging her to finish it. Issued the command with a simple, confident gesture. Sends the attendants tumbling away, an absolute wipeout method for clearing the field. Breathless and totally flustered, like he'd just been caught in the middle of a sprint. This job feels all wrong for her. He flushed hard, insisting it was all his power driving it. Amazed by how perfectly their attacks landed at the exact right moment. Surprise flashed across her face like a lightning strike. Hold on, give me that quiet, heartfelt moment that hits straight in the chest. Can't help it, she stares, a little embarrassed by the whole scene. Then time drags on, and a while goes by. I never expected her to be so perfectly built for adventure. His power was the real key to what made the Black Tiger so terrifyingly strong. The Plains player's skill doesn't just help, it hands out powers to anyone, even people who swear they've got none. The real power is running everything from one clean, unified interface. Even when you try to hand out grant skills to someone, there's always a hard limit. He sat there completely unimpressed by his lecture. She's got a brutally powerful familiar, and you can tell she absolutely loves that side of things. This alliance is a total win for both of them. No one loses, everyone gains. He nodded, agreeing everything was cruising along smoothly. With the Liberators at their side, they'll rise as humanity's deadliest, strongest army. Of pure chibified bliss, like the whole world got instantly adorable. The attendant practically gushes about the princess's flawless flattery. Soul, she's not messing around. Every word is 100% real, completely sincere. He figures the royal family will fold that easy. It claims Soul's power already smashes everything their whole kingdom can do. She lays it on the line. If her kingdom is going to live, she'll use any means she has to. He knows the only way Seul can wipe out every dungeon is by getting her hands on her resources. That forming an alliance is the only move that makes sense anymore. Radiates pure, unshakable resolve. She's got total faith in her instincts. She can read people like a locked-in superpower. They're convinced he'll help them muscle through every hardship that tries to stop them. He welcomed her and her whole kingdom into his clan. Soul was left completely speechless, like the world just stopped mid-breath. Everything about it turns into a colossal nightmare. Confused, Luna realized his only real mission was to crush and conquer every dungeon in his path. They're about to be worked into the ground, yeah, fun times right. The attendant jerked back, totally flustered, and told him to wait. After watching his power, they're left with just two choices, submit or fight back. This battle was never meant to be this huge, it was supposed to stay small. Would end with him getting offered an entire country. Realizing he doesn't care about them at all, he just wants their power to fuel his own dream. For an awkward confirmation that hit like a punch to the gut. Clustered around his blunt honesty, and Soul panics hit hard. A sharp slap that tore into him, scolding him for making a girl cry. I handed her a few extra strength points, and trust me, it's gonna leave a nasty mark. He breaks down and blurts an apology, insisting Soul was only telling the truth as he crumples to the ground. Remembering how the Holy Church's spy was straight up, impossibly strong. The Holy Church unleashed an orbital strike right from the heavens. If it was only a petty brawl between a bunch of adventurers. He realizes this isn't just a strike, it's war, launched right onto their own soil. The Church didn't just want Galleridge gone, they tried to erase it from the map. And tipped the entire continent straight into chaos. Sets off his tiny light show to lock in their cooperation. World conquest only in his wild dreams. He demanded to know if he was some kind of god. Meanwhile, that princess is totally, head over heels smitten. Feels the mind-blowing weight of his power all at once. His real dream isn't just power, it's to forge a whole nation of his very own. This date absolutely blew my mind. While he's laser-focused on his goals, he still guards his own with everything he's got. And with it, he could seize control of entire vast territories like they were already his. If he's ready to seize the Forbidden Zone and make it his own. That she clocked it instantly. The zone brims with resources, and it's packed with monsters so powerful they'll blow your mind. A flawless, untouchable base, exactly the kind the Liberators needed to launch everything from. So they'll just look at a brand new nation and go, great, time to start a war. Officially crown his brand new domain. Those kingdoms backing the other nations, they'll be forced to fall in line politics, folks. Their attendant nods and assures them they'll smash through all the red tape. To focus on the one thing he does best. They make it crystal clear, this new alliance is official, no takesies back. The war-hungry Iscariot Empire, built to conquer at any cost. A game plan for when they come back. He edged closer, grinning, finally getting to share territory and those valuable resources side by side. Her attendant drops the truth with a smirk. You, my dear, are a clever little schemer. Cole saw right through the princess's romantic act. Her master nods in approval, then she'll be calling herself a princess. Became a powerful new ally. Asks if she's absolutely sure about this. The official alliance, that was a snap decision with zero time to think. And they're running out of time. Now they need allies strong enough to turn the tide. His power is straight up undeniable, and it's flat out impressive. In a brand new golden age, Confess tries to apologize, then fesses up that she got way too excited. Believe in him, watch his dream ignite, and pull you in with it. The legendary princess who beats everyone into the dirt with her fists. He snaps out, calling for Suil to slam this mission shut and be done. Demands the order to wipe their target off the map. We should unleash a devastating blast of energy. The legendary nine-headed dragon, the nightmare from every miss. In one total anticlimax flash, he was just double-checking where it was on the map. He zeroed in on his target and decided to bait the boss out first. It leaves the whole royal entourage utterly stunned. Yeah, our boy's a little too good at this. They'll have the area ready and waiting before their real guest finally shows up. The princess watches her excitement spiral higher and higher. She couldn't stop smiling, pure glee bubbling in her chest. Begins to glow brighter. Warmth surged through her, and it was the unmistakable signal she'd leveled up. With all those top-tier kills piling up, the EXP rush is absolutely insane. The raw power surging into her veins. The princess totally lost her cool, flustered to the core. The whole party explodes in the glare of a massive level up, like the world just got turned up to max brightness. The wheels of fate start spinning again, and this time everything changes. The defendant yells and points toward a far-off explosion, like he's trying to drag everyone's eyes and blame straight to it. To crave a full-on heart-stopping shock. They're claiming they've uncovered troops from the Iscariot Empire. Defeated elf. To crack open the nearby coffin first. Powerful enough to feel almost miraculous. Legendary fairy queen, Aina. And yep, here comes another sealed beast breaking out of the shadows. Legendary powers from his gacha roll, like, what kind of insane luck is that? Victory erupted and spread like wildfire. With his name like the final piece snapping into place. Heroes welcome. With cheering crowds roaring in the streets. A brutal nine-headed dragon gets hauled out and displayed for everyone to see. Just standing there, totally stunned. He's so caught up in the celebration that it's starting to go a little too far. Seul didn't just help, he was the real power all along. But not everyone is cheering for his success. Crowd staring, his face screaming disbelief. Turns his back on all that worship and strides away. Back at the Adventurers Guild, where everything hits different. In just 1 week, how many legends has Seoul completely rewritten? Those papers all by themselves shout how far he's come. Planning his next move, and it crushed Steve, draining him to the bone. So what happens next after all this madness? Saul flashes a grin, and you can tell he's already made contact with the elves. He hammered the final piece into the foundation for his brand new clan, the Liberators. The church has been weirdly silent, like something big is about to break through. Paul's move throws a straight-up gauntlet at their authority. The search finally locks in, and it's ready to hit back with an answer. Asking if he should step up and deal with the summons, to score hard intel on his enemies. The guildmaster is putting everything on him. Thrown into total panic by the sudden weight of responsibility, he lines in and tells the hero, "Leave it all to me." Saul and Luna step into the city, ready to dive headfirst into whatever's waiting out there. A brand new journey just kicked off. A two-pronged plan to crush the region and take control. A brand new all-female party is geared up and ready to tear into the action. Rushing straight toward the legendary Elven Forest. Has finally reached it in a whole millennium. And the legendary world tree that people swear holds the whole universe together. Leading them straight into the desolate monster's lair. A danger zone lurked ahead, deep in a forest where magical mist curled around everything like a warning. Slams straight into action and starts clearing a path right away. The group finally grabs a long overdue break, because that camping trip was pure danger, like a disaster waiting to happen. They dive into the fight and come out with real, hard-earned combat experience. Step through the entrance, and the elves greet them with open arms. Hold up, wait just a second. And deep inside the world tree, a teleportation circle waited, right there, ready to rip them to a new place. As the power finally hits, the whole party is left frozen in pure awe. Announces they're about to take off into the skies. Suddenly erupts right behind them. They start to rise. Party rockets into the sky. Stared at the stairway, totally blown away. From up above, the view hits like a punch, breathtaking, doesn't even cover it. Beneath the legendary world tree, Ralph leans in and tells them the forest has been dying for 1,000 years. At last, hope sparks for the king. Vince begged the fairy queen to join their side. Real work is about to kick off. This is where it gets real. A trio of elves greets them with a glowingly warm welcome that makes everything feel instantly safe. The elders are coming any minute now. Rin hears the princess's attendance call and jolts into action, getting completely swarmed by a bunch of stunning women. Julia, what are they gonna do with this mess? The princess shows zero jealousy, like it's the last feeling in her body. Our boy wears a face that's basically saying nothing, and it's ice cold, like he's mastered emotional detachment to perfection. She's weighing what Saul's future is really going to look like. He boldly announces the elders have finally arrived. Into a massive ceremonial hall, lights blazing and everything screaming, this is the moment. With a slow, steady calm that felt like it was building to something, he crowned himself as Alentia, the elven elder's fearless leader. Whisper froze, staring at Luna, because he just recognized the legendary All-Dragon. Snatching two of their own back from the Empire. Brace yourself, the curse on their king is the real shocker. Saul listens, but his face gives away nothing, like he's hiding the whole storm behind his eyes. Anna, the fairy queen, finally has her secret dragged into the light. Can only freeze there, staring in total disbelief. Locked in and totally captivated. And with the world tree's power backing her up, her revival is totally within reach. That the elves will come back and repay this huge debt. So you've heard it, Saul's got a request of his own, and it's about to change everything. Dying to hear what he's cooking. His one true goal burned hotter than anything, conquer every last dungeon. He's begging them to bring their queen into his party, and yeah, that's one seriously bold pitch. The rescue wasn't the finish line, it was the move that kept everything else within reach. It was pure, total coincidence. The elves lock onto this moment like a golden opening and decide it's time to hit the Empire where it hurts. Their king ripped out of the Tower of Lament. Their plan crumbled instantly, and then Sol swooped in and saved the day. He admits it like, for me, this was pure luck, just a wild coincidence. They fought to break the curse on their king, but this eerie darkness still clung to everything. They were moments away from interrogating the captured Imperial soldiers to pry a cure out of them. In ads where they bragged that he was top elite, then spilled his whole story. Leaves the other elves utterly dumbfounded. London lays out how Sol flips the fanatical soldier's entire mindset in an instant. It wasn't brainwashing, he spoke his mind on his own, no one twisting his arm. He leaned into his new subordinates and the intimidating clan leader, then nodded, sure, let's do it that way. Orders her to keep going. Throat tightened, ready to unleash a formal declaration. He demands an alliance, joining the Liberators and the elves against whatever's coming next. They deliver the supplies, rush in the medical help, and make sure you got full compensation if anything went wrong. Believing the kingdom was calling on Sol to grant their one wish. Their one and only wish, bring their king back to the world tree. The awakened king wants in on Sol's party, and they're not about to stop him. It's all about a straight-up give and take, no excuses, just trade-offs. Curse them if they think they're teaching him their wild magic techniques. Our guys' negotiation skills are straight-up top tier. Gearing up for war with the Holy Church and grabbing every single edge we can before battle hits. To hear he's gearing up to punch the old rulers in the face. He's absolutely sure he can shatter the curse for good, promising he'll talk face-to-face with the queen the moment she wakes up, leaving everyone frozen in stunned silence. He crossed his arms hard, choosing to drop the whole thing instead of pushing it any further. Insist they've got zero doubts about his power. Even his foggy fairy eyes still somehow remember the dragon's magic. It was exactly what he'd seen back then. The elves dropped to their knees together, all bowing to him at once. They'll hand over their power to the Liberators, and the Ameria kingdom will rise with it. That loyalty catches Souls off guard. Right in the middle of the party, it hits like a total shock. The expression darkens because there's only one condition. Stumbled back, still reeling from that sudden demand, totally thrown. A huge, imposing fortress-like structure, towering over everything around it. The attendant leans in and asks, so you're saying it's really that bad? With a look that dripped straight into despair. Even with Luna's power towering above everything, the barrier is nearly impossible to crack. The old rulers stayed in the shadows, backing them with every move. The thunder they saw wasn't weather at all, It was a non-stop barrage of attacks slamming down on them. From the old world, humanity left behind one last remnant of its lost technology. And after 1,000 years of progress, everything had been flipped upside down. Spies were already buried in their ranks. Has erupted into a terrifying force. Seoul clocks it instantly. Luna isn't built for a defensive war, and with their numbers too low, the kingdom can't be held. Right when a brand new boss monster finally drops in, everyone's ready. That could unleash catastrophic damage. The moment the church has been praying for. He stays cool as he triggers a brand new move, dimensional storage, right on the spot. A way to scoop up every last scrap of spoils of war. If the church's real mission is to tear down the kingdom, they'll turn the chaos into cover and wipe them out. Right now, guarding the entire kingdom is straight up impossible. The royal attendants were left completely horrified, staring in shock. Then every country will slap the war on as a fake excuse and go pillaging like it's business as usual. One wrong move and it's all over for them. She's burning with love for her people, and she refuses to let a single one of them get slaughtered. I can't help but wonder how they'll pull off a stunt that crazy. But the princess' eyes suddenly light up with a brilliant idea. They've crushed the power, and now the elves are theirs. I had zero experience fighting in a war this massive. The only mission is crushing dungeons, not getting dragged into human wars. Our boys' priorities are dead on. Now they'll crack the secret to winning without losing a single soul. The whole party is left speechless by how casually he walks in. The attendant lanes in and demands, "So you honestly have no plan at all? Don't you dare overwork the healers." A week ago, he never would have guessed this would be the life he's stuck living now. He's basically flat out admitting, "I have no clue what I'm supposed to do." So he can lean on all of them, no matter what. He explains it straight up. His player skill doesn't give him a power-up. Catch the princess off guard. How brutally powerful an adventurer really is. That's why he stopped going solo and forged a party. To spill their ideas out loud, no hesitation, no fear. Access's attendant drops a bombshell. Gawain's armory is already in motion, and they've been working with it for a while now. The master smith is sweating buckets, and it looks like trouble's about to explode. Nobody warned him that an elven princess was about to crash into his life. She doesn't just command, she steps into the role of Seolimia, proving she's a master smith all on her own. Oil spots something huge. The church and the empire are teaming up behind the scenes. He's clueless in politics and keeps dodging responsibility by shoving the work onto Julia. X reminded him, right then and there, that he wasn't anything special, just a regular villager. Condent says she just might be able to cash in a favor. Julia stepped in to help, swallowing her own engagement and throwing herself into saving the kingdom. Hesitating for a second, they shoot off the orb and ask, "So, is the proposal good with you?" Her crew has already swept through the slums and fused them together like she was told. Will prove in one brutal moment that they're finally worth his trust. Swearing to them he's counting on it. The guard finally agreed to pick new party members. They lay it out, this kingdom's defended by a special kind of force, and each defender's got a unique power. Leaves Ren with her face filled with concern. They're saying the real enemy isn't up top, it's lurking in the dungeons, away from the old rulers. She has to level up because her master's dream won't wait. A warm, knowing smile flickered across their face. Rin locks her gaze on them. Zik with a quiet worry that wouldn't let go. Watching her get left in the dust, like everyone else keeps moving without her. Slashes across her face, feeling trapped like she's got 0 moves left. Her confidence took another brutal hit. Remember how Saul broke down and begged her with tears in his eyes to join him. The story didn't wrap up back then. It kept hanging in the air, still looking for its ending. He reaches for her hand, begging her to stay and watch the ending with him. He needed her more than ever because this strategy, it looked seriously unstoppable. She made the deal. The holy capital of Adratio, where the sacred lights burn bright. Rushing through the papal court's echoing halls, heart pounding with every step. Started with a sudden flash of light. A gigantic, ornate chamber that looked like it belonged to a king and a myth. Robes rushed in with a trembling apology, admitting his report was late. He leans in to speak directly to the Pope on the throne, Gregorio IX. The sealed evil dragon just burst free, and the nightmare finally woke up. Rage surged through him as this wild, never-before-seen chaos exploded everywhere. She let herself get captured. The orbital cannon was obliterated in one brutal night. Says it's all locked in by prophecy. Stare back, sweating hard and trembling like crazy. Stare them down and make sure, yep, that's their enemy, Saul from Ross Village. Denial clenched his chest as he scrambled to convince himself everything was fine. The All-Dragon is taunting the church, laughing like it owns the heavens. Fit calmly shrugs like, of course it had to happen, realizing the storage had been breached. Don't freak out, after 1,000 years of prep, they're ready for anything. So far beyond anything the world has ever witnessed. They stare, then brace themselves, because the moment they unleash, every piece of lost technology is finally here. The full earth-shaking scale of their power.